Hi, this is Eternal King bringing you another LOR video today. I wanted to expand on the subject of card evaluation. What is a card and how do you determine its value in LOR if you want to be a professional player? Well, the solution to that problem is actually simpler than you might think. If we go to a card like Mystic Shot, Mystic Shot is a card that deals 2 to anything. Its value is determined by its ability to A, kill a creature, or B, kill the opponent. In the situation where Mystic Shot cannot kill a creature, if combined with other cards or in of itself, or kill the opponent with a combination of other cards or in of itself, it then has a card evaluation score of 0. It is a card that cannot do anything. That is how you evaluate a card as a professional player. Alternatively, let's talk about one of the best cards in LOR that exists, and that is, of course, the Formidable Package. So let's talk about one of the best decks in the game, which is Undir Demacia. The exact way that you build the deck doesn't really matter. As long as it has Undir, and as long as it has formidable cards in the package, it is a good deck. So let's go to Petricite Broadwing. Or just say Broadwing. Petricite Broadwing. So this is a card that says, I'm a formidable unit. The amount of damage that I can do is equal to my health. I also have Challenger. Now, on paper, its value should be about even to other 2-drops. It can do 3 damage, much like a 3-2. It can challenge things, and there are cards that are 3-2 challengers, but it has very unique interactions with certain types of cards that allow it to value at a score of infinite. So we're taking a card that has a traditional 2-mana value of 1 unit and taking it to the realm of infinite. Well, how do we do that? We do that with stance swaps, right? So stance swap, it can be an Inner Beast, it can be off of Vulpine Wanderer, it can be off of Undir, it doesn't matter. We have a formidable card that is cheap and equally valued to other 2-mana cards, and when in combination with a half card that we generate from Inner Beast or Vulpine Wanderer, it becomes infinite valued. So that is through Boar Stance. So Boar Stance will take your 3-mana Challenger, or your 2-mana Challenger that deals 3 damage, and it will make it deal 5 damage and have regeneration, so it cannot die. So the minute that one card is combined with another half a card, it has the potential to never die. That just by itself is insane. So all of a sudden, you start getting put on very specific answers. You get put on Disintegrate, which is not a meta card at all, which is a Noxus. So the big problem too with having a card that potentially has infinite value is all of a sudden your hand as the opponent starts to diminish rapidly in terms of its usefulness. We talked about Mystic Shot. Well, a Mystic Shot into a Boar Stance Petricite Broadwing is a 0 evaluation card. Mystic Shot is not going to do anything to a Boar Stance Broadwing. So you have to have specific answers like a Disintegrate. So the only answer for a Regeneration Petricite Broadwing is a Disintegrate with a Pie Toss. That is a combination that I can think of where Pie Toss can be evaluated at half a card because it generates 2 pings, and I'll show you that card as well. Pie Toss, and Vandal City. So something like Nora Swain that has Disintegrate and Pie Toss can counter Petricite Broadwing with Boar Stance. That is an equal evaluation of card exchange. But there are so many other things in the game that simply cannot deal with it. If your opponent Boar Stance is a Broadwing, you're going to be on the hard Vengeance, right? A lot of the time in Shadow Isles, like you just kind of have to spend the Vengeance, and that means that card is not going into the Undir, right? So all of a sudden your hand value is greatly diminished by the fact that you have to Vengeance that you have to Vengeance that Petricite Broadwing. Ideally, if you're a smart Shadow Isles player, you're always running Soul Harvest. Soul Harvest will kill any formidable card or follower that exists in the game. It will even kill something like a Galio. So immediately you should be running Soul Harvest and you should be running Vengeance, so your card evaluation can at least compete with the Demacia player. Because again, we already established that PNZ can't do it with Mystic Shot. Noxus can do it with kill effects. So you're basically in Shadow Isles or Noxus in terms of control items that are equaling out in card evaluation. The other option that you have is something like Ionia. So Ionia can simply stun, like chain stun and chain bounce their units. So the minute that you bounce a Petrocyte Broadwing with Boar Stance on it, you have deleted the Boar Stance and then slowed down their tempo. So like, it's acceptable card evaluation to Will of Ionia, a Petrocyte Broadwing with Boar Stance on it. If they commit that Boar Stance to the Petrocyte Broadwing, just feel free to Will of Ionia that just right away. That is acceptable card evaluation. Again, a Flock might get you there as well. So again, Noxus being a good option. But you think about the other regions and like, what's Bilgewater going to do? What's Bandle City going to do without the Noxus or the Shadow Isles? What's Freljord going to do? You can't Frostbite formidable units. So like, the reason why Demacia and the formidable package in specifically is doing so well in the game in Eternal is because its card evaluation is off the charts, and the answers to that card evaluation are so specific that they are region locked, and a lot of people aren't going to be playing the right regions. You could use a Hush in Targon, so like maybe 3 regions in total in the game have an answer to the formidable package that is being properly synergized with. A Hush would get you there, right? Where they play their big formidable unit, and then potentially, if you have a decent blocker, you can Hush it. There are other silence effects in the game. Like a Blinded Mystic, it has been tech before for formidable. So again, if you want to go back in on like the hardcore run 3 Blinded Mystics and the Sunbursts, that would work as well. But you see that as soon as you run something that is as comprehensively powerful as Petrocyte Broadwing with Boar Stance, or the 3 mana card, it's a 4/4 with Boar Stance, or anything with Boar Stance that is a formidable unit, the minute that you commit that, you have greatly diminished the card evaluation in your opponent's hand unless they are playing very specific types of decks. The Shadow Isles, the Noxus, the Ionia. Again, that's the silence effects of Targon. So 1, 2, 3, 4 regions that can properly answer the formidable package. That's only about half the regions available in the game. So that is a problem, right? That is a problem. Something like an Auction might be able to grow faster than the formidable deck. It's doubtful, though. You would have to be on very specific hand states. So when we talk about card evaluation, you could be a PNZ player and run into a meta formidable deck and have Temple on the board. And like, you could literally have 1,000,000 pings in hand. Like, you could have 6 pings in hand that you have drawn off of a Sunken Temple. And all of that amounts to 0 cards because your opponent has Boar Stance on a formidable unit, and God forbid they're running tricks to back it up too, which they always will be. They'll always be running. They'll always have the 3 mana trick as well, which is they have Gentleman's Duel to strike to remove your stuff, but more specifically, they're running Shield of Durand. So, you have a 5 health Petrocyte Broadwing with regeneration. And if your opponent does not have very specific card answers, if they try to get there with like multiple Mystic Shots or something, you will just Shield of Durand in response. And at that point, you've lost the game. So again, there's a big difference between card advantage and card evaluation. Card evaluation is a universal truth in LOR that is something that you need in order to win games. Card advantage is optional. Card advantage is 100% optional and is region specific and is card specific and is build specific and deck specific and may mean absolutely nothing. I'll give you another specific example. There is basically an elusive deck that exists that runs Encroaching Shadows. The Encroaching Shadows says that grant all allies in your deck and hand 2/2 and ephemeral. It is an OTK deck. So the idea is you play this card twice, all your elusives are massive, and that you have to OTK the opponent on that turn or lose the game. So the way that works is you go -1, -2 cards, then you play 3 elusive units, so now you're -5 on cards, And at that point, your card evaluation is either the entire value of your opponent's hand, or it is 0 cards. It is either 0 or it is infinite. That is the proper evaluation for this card, Encroaching Shadows. You are either winning the game off of the Encroaching Shadows play, or you are losing the game off the Encroaching Shadows play. And that means that the card evaluation at that time is either 0 or infinite. It cannot be anything else other than that. So I'll give you an example. I'm playing Lulu into the Encroaching Shadows elusive spam deck. I have Lulu's signature spell. So like I'm losing that game, right? They have OTK on board. They're swinging into my face for 20 damage. I am dying. My card evaluation is 0. But I have a Lulu on board, and I have a Lulu in hand. Lulu's Whimsy removes the lethal option from the opponent's play. Now their card evaluation is 0. It was infinite before. Their card evaluation was all the cards I could possibly have in my entire hand. It was an infinite card evaluation. I was dying on the swing for 20 health. And they played 5 cards to achieve that. But their 5 cards equaled 30 cards. It equaled 50 cards. It equaled 100 cards. It doesn't matter. The point being that until I had Lulu's Whimsy in hand to deny lethal and then present my own lethal on the counter swing, their card evaluation was either infinite or 0. So it's kind of like basic math concept of people using things like calculus and whatnot, but like it applies to card games as well. All right, so that's again a little basic math conceptual lesson that is just a universal truth of how life works, and card games are no different. This is Eternal King signing out.